Hi, this is Ingrid from Quilt Essential Co. and it's time for us to do May block of the month. Here's the block we're working on, not in these colors because we've used scraps here. Talking about scraps, this is also a beautiful scrappy quilt. You might want to do something like this. We're taking donations for our Jessie's House project. You can check the front page of our website, all about doing charity quilts. And as we're all at home with scraps, we can do this. Hi, now we're going to start cutting. So this is the block we're going to make, and we have our fabrics in our kit. So there's A, B, C, D, and this will come out of E. A, we're cutting into a 2.5 inch strip. Same with B, same with C, same with D. This one, we're cutting a 4.5 by 9.5. It's folded over here in this picture, and we're also cutting two 9.5 by 1 inch strips. So these pieces will be surrounding our block later. So now let's start putting it together. So let's start by cutting A and B. These are the 2.5 inch strips, and we have them stacked together. Doesn't really matter if they're right side or wrong side up. And we're using the Jaybird Quilt Sidekick ruler as normal, and make sure you have out your instructions with your gray, red, and orange pictures on, because I always tell you which ones to follow. This time we're doing something different. We're following the gray diamond instructions. So first thing we want to do is put our ruler on the edge of our fabric, line it up with the 2.5 inch line, and you are going to cut off one side, just that little angle. Once you've done that, you can flip your fabric around to the other side, and now we're going to cut diamonds. So we line up again our 2.5 inch with the bottom and the top, and this diamond has to be on the 2.5 inch too. So we're going to cut across here, and from A and B we'll cut, move it, and cut, and we're going to cut 3 diamonds out of those pieces of fabric. So just like that. So now we have 3 that are A and 3 that are B. So those are the ones that are cut. Now we're ready to cut our little triangles. We're now using, and stack them together again, we're using our C and our D, and we're using our red 60-degree triangle instructions. And it doesn't matter which way you decide to cut this. Some people decide to cut it off this side and keep going. Some people decide to cut it off this side. I'm a bit lazy, so I tend to flip my ruler and cut it backwards, just like this, because I just want to get it going and I don't want to flip my fabric. So I'm going to cut this off here, and now we're cutting our 60-degree 2.5 inch triangles. You've got it lined up straight here, lined up here with a 2.5 inch line, and cut, flip, and keep cutting, and you're going to get 6 of your C triangles and 6 of your D triangles as you go. So just keep cutting. Okay, so now we have these. Now we're going to sew them. So we have our A and we have our B. Well, maybe I should do it this way, A and B. Doesn't really matter, but A and B pieces. And we are going to sew our triangles, C and D, to these. This is really important. We want them to be a certain way. So we are going to sew to our A's. We are going to sew the C on the right side. To our B, we're going to sew the D to the right side, because we want to make a different kind of pattern with this. Now when we sew them, really important to sew them a certain way, and I've already sewn these on the machine so you can see. So we're flipping this so the flat part of our triangle is straight with the edge of the fabric and the pointy end is here. So that way we know exactly where to start our sewing. So once you've got the flat here and the pointy matching up to the top, 1/4 inch, sew all the way down, and do exactly the same with this one. Flat to the side, pointy edge down, sew down here. So now we have those sewn together, and when we press, we're pressing them towards the triangle that you've just sewn. So you press those to the triangle that you've sewn, and now we're going to sew another one of our triangles that we've cut to the other side. And this is really important. Put the flat edge again on here, but it's a different color. So this was C, now we're adding D. So here's flat, point to point. Make sure those points really line up because that will keep them nice and straight. And we'll sew from here right the way down here. On this side, we're going to line up the C on top of our D, point, point matching, and flat, sew down. And we will end up, when we've got them sewn, into pairs like this. Here we go. Now we have a nice triangle, and we have a nice triangle. And that is what we're going to use to put with our block. So now we've sewn these pieces of our triangles together, and we have our one set to the right pressed to our little triangle, and the one on the left is actually pressed to the diamond. That will make it a lot flatter when we put our piece together in the end. We're now going to cut E, and E is the fabric that's 4.5 inches, and we fold it in half. You're going to be using the instructions with your orange triangle instructions for cutting this to start with. So first thing you want to do is put your 4.5 inch on your 4.5 inch piece of fabric, cut straight up here, and then you're going to turn your ruler around and cut up here, and you will end up with your pieces. They must be folded right sides or wrong sides together, doesn't matter. This one was wrong sides together because you need two halves that go in opposite directions. So we're going to sew a section. This is what we're sewing first. So if you look here, this is basically a section, and this is a section. So when you sew these together, you are going to match up your lines here, and because we press them in opposite directions, they're going to nest really nicely here. This one is going down and this one is going up. You're going to sew 1/4 inch all the way down here and have this over here like this, and then you're going to put the other triangle on this side. So you have a set of 3. So here's one, and you need another triangle over here. Then all you have to do is sew on your pieces. So this one will go nicely over this side and flip back, and then this one will go nicely on this side and flip back. So here's your row. So your rows together in the middle, row 1, row 2, and then you're just going to sew your top piece on here and on here. Make sure it's not on the pointy end, make sure it's on the flat end. And that is how you sew your block of the month for May. Well guys, if you found this video useful, please leave us a like and click subscribe for future content. This has been Ingrid from Quilt Essential Co., and thanks for sewing with me today, and we'll see you soon.